Every year during college football season, people argue about which conference is the best. But honestly, most of those opinions come from bias, not real data. That's the real problem. A lot of people judge conferences based on loyalty or opinions instead of facts. But when you look at actual performance, the SEC clearly stands above every other conference. First, I'll talk about the championships. According to the NCAA, SEC teams have won 13 of the last 17 national championships. That's not luck, that's domination. And ESPN has reported seasons where 2 SEC teams made the playoffs in the same year. That means even the playoff committee recognized the SEC's strength. The impact is clear. SEC wins at the highest level over and over again. So why do people still argue against the SEC? Because of the misunderstanding is bias. Fans cheer for their conference instead of looking at the numbers. Someone from the Big Ten insists that their conference is better. Someone from the ACC says that the SEC is overrated. And someone from Pac-12 will claim that they're more balanced. But those arguments ignore the bigger reality. The SEC doesn't just win games. It produces the best players. According to the NFL.com, SEC has produced the most NFL draft picks for 17 years straight. That means NFL teams who invest millions of dollars choose SEC players above everybody else. 24/7 Sports shows that the SEC schools like Alabama, Georgia, and LSU consistently pull in the top recruiting class. Top athletes want to play on the SEC because they know that's where the best competition is. So, here's a solution. Judge conferences based on using real facts, not fan emotion. Sports Illustrated shows that the SEC teams often play at more ranked opponents than other conferences. And CBS Sports lists the SEC stadiums, like LSU at night, as some of the hardest places to play in the entire country. That kind of environment takes teams to a whole other level. So what can we do? We can actually learn how rankings work. We can look at real stats, we can recognize real competition, and not just regional pride. So the problem is that misunderstanding which conference is truly the best. The cause is emotional bias, and the solution is using real performance numbers, championships, competition level, and NFL success. So when you look at the data, the SEC stands alone at the top. There's a reason why the SEC's motto is, "It just means more," because in the SEC, it really does. I also really want to point out that the SEC isn't just strong in one area. It has sustained dominance through coaching changes, player turnovers, and even when other conferences have peaks. When Alabama dipped slightly, Georgia rose. When Alabama had a down year, Tennessee or Ole Miss stepped up. It's not just one powerhouse carrying the conference, it's a whole ecosystem of elite programs. Another major point is fan culture. Football in the SEC is not just a sport, it's a lifestyle, a regional identity. On Saturdays in the South, entire towns slow down. Stadium pack in 90,000 plus people. Tailgating begins before sunrise, and the energy builds all day. That atmosphere pushes teams to perform at a higher level because the stakes feel real and personal. We also see the SEC influence recruiting nationally. Players from California, New Jersey, Texas, and even Hawaii choose to leave their home states to train and compete in the SEC. They opt to play a harder path because they know it will make them better athletes and give them a chance at the NFL. When we compare that to other conferences like Pac-12, which struggled with team consistency, or the ACC, where only 1 or 2 teams typically shine, the contrast becomes obvious. The SEC multiple playoffs caliber teams every season. So again, the problem is misinformation and regional bias. The cause is blind loyalty instead of real evaluation, and the solution is using actual measurable performance indicators. When we rely on facts, we see that the SEC has created a level of football excellence that sets the standard for the rest of the country. That's why, at the end of the day, the SEC is really the top of college football culture and competition.